You responded to a 7.6 magnitude earthquake and a tsunami hit in western Indonesia. Only your crew was routed to that location to provide support. Indonesia has a large terrorist population. The Marine crew was armed and tasked to provide security along with medical equipment and food supplies.
Even though for years there's been a stigma to it. For years there's been a giggle effect because of little green men and flying saucers and all that. I myself never thought to this day that I'd ever seen anything like this. It was something that stuck out like a sore thumb because here you have terrain that is a jungle terrain, very green vegetation, things like that. And then you have something that's sticking out right in the middle of an opening. And it looks very odd. It's something that's, I'll remember till the rest of my life, to the day that I leave this earth. And when we saw this happen, and I want to say unidentified because right now it's identified. Everybody knows what they are now. They're either man-made or they're not. And if they're not, the government's coming out and telling people, admitting it, not directly, but they're still admitting it to a degree that it exists, because why would they spend time with this legislation coming out? Us, from the LZ where we were at, was 300 meters roughly, okay, plus the slope that was concealing plus vegetation. Down the slope, it was like 400 meters, maybe, so we got close. We trucked down quite a bit.
Okay.
About 150 meters outside, 150, 200, right, halfway.
How big was it?
300 feet is what I'm estimating, about a football field. And the reason why I say this is because we flew on a CH-53 Super Stallions. They're roughly 100 feet. All right, so from nose to tail, if you lined up three of them, it'd fit three of them under this craft. It's like an octagon because it had like corners on it that was like an octagon shape, but still circular.
You crest this hill.
Yep.
You look down into the valley.
Yep.
And there's a clearing.
There's a clearing
with a UAP.
Yes.
Just sitting there.
Sitting there,
hovering.
rotating clockwise, yep. And that's in transition to this color spectrum I was telling you too. And that's why it's something that stuck out. It's not a building, It's not something that you're used to seeing. Maybe topside it could have looked like a building or something that, I don't know. I don't have that perspective. I wasn't a pilot or anything, but I can tell you from our point of view, it's something that it looked very unnatural and abnormal. So when we trekked up close, and we were attack column, so obviously you have points here, right, each Marine, so you have visuals of the sides, somebody has a point and somebody has the rear. And all of a sudden we're enveloped by this military force I still to this day don't know who they are. And
How close did you get?
To the craft?
To the craft.
Roughly 200 meters, 150, 200.
Did you get to the bottom of the hill?
Yes.
So you saw the top of it, and then you could see underneath of it.
And underneath of it had this platform that was on the ground that was separate from this craft hovering. And it was very weird to see, and I was like, okay, I don't know if that's kind of like a cement pad or something. I don't know if it was like a helo pad or anything like that at first, but then started seeing how the material kind of looked very similar to what the craft was. It's like, well, that's separate. Then all of a sudden we were engaged, at least not in a hostile manner, at least, not gunfire or firefight or anything like that. But the way that these guys moved was so fluid, it was so still, it was very, very, very smooth. And it kind of indicated to me, after thinking about it for several years, is that these guys had done it for a while. And the gear that they had was black OTV vests, they had black camouflage utilities.
So what you're saying is there would have been no they were professionals.
Yes,
there would have been
yes.
no Mexican standoff where
No.
if they fired, they're shooting into their other squad. They had perfect angles.
Yes, they did.
To where both sides could engage you.
Yes. We kind of knew, and they started yelling at us. They were like, you're not supposed to fucking be here. What the fuck are you guys doing here? Who the fuck are you with? So they knew, they were using the kind of lingo that we were using too, especially the military. So it made me think that at some point these guys actually were uniformed military at one point. At one point they said they were going to smoke us. They could throw us out of a helicopter. It's very easy to get lost in the jungle out here. They kept saying stuff like that. So after they enveloped us, they all pretty much got in line. They told us to put our weapons, so we all got in line as well. And we had our hands up. We had our weapons slung.
It didn't sound like a jet.
No.
It didn't sound like a helicopter.
Hell no.
There was no engine noise.
Nope.
Just a hum.
Just an audible hum. It's very creepy to see because it's not normal.
Was it like a bassy hum?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
like a guitar. Like if you were to unplug it, it wasn't the same pitch, but it was like the same kind of sound. And that's when we started seeing trucks come from our left and go onto this platform. And they were up armored 350s. I know exactly what 350s are. They were kind of beefier trucks. And I was glancing between what was going on in front of us with these guys, and then all of a sudden glancing over to what was going on behind them. And that's when I started seeing the key details of this thing. Like it had like a scale pattern on it, kind of like an octagonal, because the craft itself was like an octagonal shape where you could see points. Had a pyramid structure on top that was black, and you can see the shadowing of it as it rotated. But it was rotating very slow. They had weapon cases in the back of each truck bed. Very big cases, on 2 of them in each truck bed. And then they had a shipping container thing. It looked like a shipping container, but smaller and half the size. And the thing that was different about this is I had a cylinder on the front of it that was towards the truck. It was like parallel to the ground, just a cylinder right on the top of this thing. And for years I thought, okay, there's got to be oxygen supply or like a vacuum sealing thing that you would, because obviously I'm thinking it's drugs. As soon as it got to the top of the tree line, like cleared the trees, this thing shot off to the left. And to the left was the ocean, by the way. Like I said, it didn't change pitches of noise or anything, and it just completely shot off. It's just like a blur that went left. Didn't make a sonic boom, like you'd see a fighter jet and you see the pressure that, the way that happens. It didn't disturb any of the trees like what rotor wash would do on a helo or a jet flying the map of the earth and leaving exhaust and blowing the, you kind of see Top Gun movies with that cranks up on there. Nothing. And come to find out, when I gave my speech in DC on that Saturday for the Disclosure Project with Dr. Greer, he's got a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, by the way. And this gentleman, I'm not going to give any detail. I know a little bit about him, but he works in some of these projects at some very controversial facilities. He's aware of what was going on. After I gave my presentation of this, he confirmed, he says, no, he's like, I don't want to leave Michael hanging out there, but I was not expecting to come and talk to you about this. And he went explaining what the operations do, why they do it, and what they were using them for. And he says, there's not drugs that they're putting in these shipping containers. He says it's humans.